History. And I'm Morgan. I'm the moderator. Today I have with me Amanda, I have Riley, and I have Annie. Today we'll be talking about what we learned in our class, what we learned in our communications class and our experience. So, in my opinion, smaller classes are easier.
Yes.
It's a lot more open to asking questions, and you get to know everyone a lot more in the smaller class.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I would also say it's kind of more manageable too, because a lot of the activities we did, would have been a lot harder with a group of like 40 people, and because there was a smaller group of us, it kind of made it easier, like just to know everyone and kind of know how everything would work in certain situations and with the different groups of people that were in that class.
Absolutely.
So for a group communications class, I think it was really good that the class size was small because we were just one small group and we all became familiar with each other, which made it easier to communicate in a group.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
For me, I learned in a different type of environment. I have my chemistry class I was in for this semester, and it was really packed, but yeah, my professor made time for each and one of us. And we also had Discord in that, but at the same time, with a smaller class, you get on a one-on-one with the professor a lot of times, more than a larger class, because even if a professor has like other classes, they need to make more time with anyone, so a smaller class always helps.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and also I would say, like, because it's a group communications class and we have projects where we're presenting things, it's easier and less stressful when you're looking at a smaller group of people.
A smaller group of people, and you know them.
And you know them.
So in the beginning of this class, it was a lot of getting to know everyone.
Yeah.
And they see, so you know who you're talking to, and you know who, like, all of that. When we do get into like the projects and all that. So it was nice to know everyone once we get up there, and then if we made a mistake, we can laugh it off because we know each other, and it's a comfortable environment that we can be in. So that's what I liked about it. It was more comfortable and all of that, and the activities did help.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I really think those first few days of just everyone getting to know each other was really helpful for everyone to just know more about each other and be able to like coexist.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree with that, and I would also say like it helped the environment. As we were talking about, like, because it's small and because you know everyone on some sort of level, it just kind of brings the stress level down of like, yes, I'm doing a debate and it's like freaking me out, but I know the 15 people that are in the room with me, so if I make a mistake, it's not that big of a deal, as opposed to like doing it in front of 40 people where I wouldn't be able to handle it, honestly. It would be way too much.
I would definitely agree, because I remember I had to have a singing solo when I was back in high school, where there was a bunch of people there, and I like almost forgot to scat because it was a jazz thing, and I almost puked, but I know about the stress there. And thankfully with this class I never had any, so that's a win.
So let's talk about like the stuff we learned. So we learned of the hierarchy of needs.
Right.
And we learned that there was 3 groups of it: the basic needs, the psychological needs, and the self actualization needs.
Right.
So what do we think of during that time? What was going through our heads?
I think the way people perceive it is different, like person to person, because the way that it's set up, it's kind of like a pyramid, and it's like once you get to this point, you'll keep going up. But I kind of perceive it as like at different times of your life, you'll be in different places, and you can go back up and back down depending on where you're at.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, like earlier, we were going on about how self-actualization just depends on person to person, and that it's not something that you reach and then you're there forever. It's something that can go on and off.
Right.
And I agree with that. I don't think, like you were saying, I don't think it's just a pyramid. It's probably more like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It goes up and down because
yeah.
everyone has
Yeah.
good days and bad days. So
Right.
It's like with people who have depression, they will get up and try to do stuff. And for me, who have ADHD and depression, it's really hard for me to just get up sometimes because there's like some days I want to do everything, and then I'm like, I don't have everything done. Like I did dishes, I didn't put away all of them. Like, oh, I didn't do a whole lot. I made a mess. But then you have days where I'm a clean freak.
Yeah, so I think sometimes it depends day to day, sometimes it depends on like periods of time. And I also think, I do want to know your thoughts because I think self-actualization means something different for each person. Yeah.
for me, self-actualization, if I can say the word,
Yeah.
is more of an accomplishment.
Okay.
Like doing
yeah.
something, like it doesn't have to be like yes, you can love the thing you're doing, like yes, this is so much fun, I love going to my job every day, I get to work with kids, I'm being paid to play with Play-Doh, I love it.
Yeah.
And I also feel self-actualization when I get something done off my to-do list. So like if I go do the dishes without having my parents to ask me, if I go like do things around my room that I wouldn't normally do, but I feel accomplished after doing it. I'm like, dang, I feel great.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like kind of at that point where it's like, why can't I reach it? Why can't I be there? Like if I was there, like it would be over for everybody. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's go on to conflict management. So
yes,
conflict management was an interesting lesson. It was
to say the least. To say the absolute least. It was an interesting experience.
It was an interesting experience because we had an experience with conflict management recently with one of our group members, and we're not going to name any names, but it was something that I feel like what we could have done to make sure like that didn't happen, and like if we could go back time, I feel like what we could have done is we could have be like, hey, everyone needs to have everyone's numbers, so we know, and just confirm like multiple times what time we're doing the things, which we did, which is but I feel like that's what we should have done. Yeah. Like on the day one of the podcast, we should be like, okay, everyone has everyone's numbers. Everyone has everyone's numbers. End of story.
Right.
Definitely should have made the group chat sooner.
With everyone's numbers. Yeah. We should have done that right then and there before everyone left, but we didn't.
I guess group email isn't reliable.
Group email isn't reliable, but that's what we should have done. And we did try to manage the conflict. We tried,
and that counts for something.
We did.
Right? It's like you wash the dishes and you don't put them away, but you wash the dishes. So it does count. It counts for something.
We tried our best in that to manage the conflict that happened. So
would you say we could have done more?
I feel like we could have.
Yeah.
We did want to reach out to her. We did want to talk to her in person. We tried to let her know, be like, hey, you reached out to her saying, hey, we want to try to talk to you. But she gave us a bad email back.
Right.
So that was her decision. We tried to reach out. Yeah. She didn't want to do anything to do with it.
Kind of end point of that is we did what we could. And you can only do so much, I think, at a certain point, and it's really up to the other person.
Yeah.
And
you gotta meet
in this point, it didn't work out, and that's you just kind of have to make peace with the fact that it didn't work out.
You can't control other people's actions, only yourselves, and that's where a lot of people need to realize, especially since it's out in the world now. You can't control the media, you can't control a lot of things, and it's difficult, even though it is what it is.
Yeah, I think we can leave it at it's difficult. Period. End of
Speaking
sentence.
of difficult, so our next segment is going to be the debates.
Yeah,
The debate section.
Oh, yeah.
So
So,
the debate seems for difficult. Yeah.
so obviously the debates was it was a stressful situation. We had a hard time during it.
Yes.
But we did get to choose our own topics, which is
Yeah,
fun.
which
We
is
got
fun,
to
yeah.
do all that. But it was very stressful, and it
Yeah.
got a bit annoying
Yeah,
after a
yeah.
bit, but it was still fun to learn and to go against everyone's
I
ideas.
did like, also we'll get into this with the podcast,
Mhm.
but the process of like being in a group and like learning all the information
Yep.
is the fun part,
Mhm.
and then the actual like presenting and doing the thing is the not as fun part.
That
Because
is
like
fair.
in our debate groups there were 6 of us, and then we were sectioned off into 3s.
Mhm.
So there's like 3 of you like figuring out what you're gonna do and like what do we think the other people are gonna say, but you don't know what they're gonna say, so
It's-
you kind of have to guess, and then you have to like set up for if they're gonna do that, what are we gonna say?
It's kind of
Yeah.
it's the competition between
Yeah.
the two groups.
Yeah,
Because it was fun like to do it and to be like ha 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 to during and like
yeah.
be like, what are you guys talking about type
Yeah,
of thing.
Yeah, and then when you do the actual debates, it's like, oh, we're at war.
We're at
actually.
war, yeah. It's like we're at war.
It's like, okay,
We're
yeah.
winning.
Yeah, so my ship and your ship, we're bombing each other.
For me with the debates, I was like, yes, I was kind of stressed out to the point where I'm like stuttering,
Mhm.
but
Uh-huh.
that's normal because the people who are watching you are the ones that are judging, and
Right.
to see, okay, which team is going to be the winner, and then you have to figure out, okay, which team is going to be debunked with the points of, oh, they didn't say these points or these harms, so you have to try to say, oh, by the way, they forgot to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also a point of listening. You have to listen to the other team. Be
Uh-huh.
like, oh, they didn't say this.
Right.
You
right.
have to listen
And like when
be
you
like,
have that time in the middle, like they give you a certain 20 minutes, which aren't long enough. It's like we have 3 minutes to like reconvene about the stuff they said that we haven't accounted for.
Mhm.
And then you have to like whisper to each other and say, okay, so they didn't mention this thing, so we can
Yes.
get back at them with this thing. And
It's-
that's kind of fun.
it's
kind of
fun.
silly, goofy, but it's also like, I have never been so stressed in my life. Yeah.
For me, the debates were pretty rocky. I did enjoy like doing the research and then piecing everything together, putting it in the format, but the debates themselves sucked for me because I did not enjoy being up there and
Yeah.
being judged for something that I'm doing for the first time. But
Yeah.
it was a good experience that I
Yeah.
definitely needed, I would say.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like Morgan knows when we were in that first debate, I choked like immediately and had to sit down.
The practice debate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was-
that was interesting.
The practice debate was yes, it was practice, but
Yeah.
it was fun
Yeah.
because we got to like learn each other's like boundaries, like how far can you push someone, like what are their pressure
Yeah.
points type thing.
Yeah.
Especially like on the other team, be like, all right, what are your pressure points? Let me
Like,
let
what
me
makes
figure
you mad?
what makes you tick. type
I would
thing.
say
Yeah.
try and push their buttons too much to see a reaction, but
Yeah, but it's also like it's trial and error,
Mhm.
and because you're doing it for the first time,
Yeah.
it's like you know that you're learning it, and so is everybody else. But you also
Yes.
don't want to be up there and like let people see you
Yeah.
fail.
Exactly.
Which brings
Yeah.
me to the second debate. Now, I think I did a lot better during that. People are saying negative is easier. I think affirmative is easier, and being the first person to speak, like with the intro, just
I
because
agree.
if you have assigned spots, you could take that spot and then not have to speak again, which is why I like that spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that day I was the only one on my team to show up. So then the professor had to give me 2 other people, and it was weird because we had the same topic, but we all had different sides. So that's when we had to really communicate and figure out what the heck we were trying to say and what we were gonna bring
I mean,
to
that
the
must have
debate.
been like really hard thinking. Your team
Yeah.
was gonna show up, and then they weren't there, and you're assigned like 2 people that really don't know as much of the material because they're like new to this.
Yeah, but I think that was like a good example of
Yeah.
group communication and how you can work
Yeah.
Yeah.
with people in a group if you just like collaborate.
Yeah.
I was on the other side from you on that because I saw the professors, he's like, okay, since your team is not really here and the other side, their team is here, so I'll do this, and you guys, I saw you guys work, and it's really good because you guys came from different point of views, try and work to be on the, I think, I was on the negative side?
Yeah.
Okay, you were on the affirmative, and so you guys were trying to get all these collaborations. It's really neat.
I almost threw up. I thought I was gonna have to do like a 1v3.
Yeah.
All right, I guess then on to the podcast.
Yeah, onto the podcast.
This
Probably our longest section because we have a lot to say about that.
So,
Yeah.
I loved the first. I loved the podcast. The podcasts
Yeah.
are honestly my favorite section.
Yeah,
because
honestly, it was really fun.
Mhm.
It was really fun. I don't know. It's just you kind of figure out what everyone's like interested in, and then you get to like fun. What are you laughing at? Why are you laughing at me?
No, I was just
Is it
thinking of
because I talked too much during the last one? Is that why?
yes, but no. I was just thinking of Cobblepot.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like in the researching period, also with the debates, the research period is really, really fun. But when you get to the filming part or the presenting part, that's when it gets hard.
Yeah, our first one was about Hearst Castle, and it was a lot of fun looking up all the information and
Uh-huh.
finding out all kinds
Yeah.
of information about him.
Yeah, because we went
Like
in
the-
thinking like, oh my gosh, he sounds so interesting, but it's also like, oh, so he was spreading racist propaganda.
He was really shady. He
Yeah,
was.
so he was doing all kinds of things that weren't great.
Yeah, finding out
Yeah.
that he was like a playboy, he was a cheater, finding out all these fun things that we did,
Yeah.
that he did, and also like halfway through we also took a break and did the team building exercise,
Mhm.
Cards Against Humanity. That was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of
Yeah.
fun. I did learn that I'm more of an apples to apples kind of person though.
It's fine. Cards Against Humanity isn't for everyone, but
Yeah.
It was a fun experience.
it was a fun
though.
experience.
It showed your dark side.
Because at first it's like, oh, I feel like I'm being mean. And then
No.
when you get into it, you're like, okay, actually, I want to win, so I'm going to be as mean as possible.
Yeah,
Let's see what
exactly.
Yeah.
happens. Yeah.
You definitely see with Cards Against Humanity is like one of my favorite because my boyfriend and a few of my other friends we play it, yes, but you always have to be so dark because it's a dark humor one.
Yeah. It's like, what's going to make people laugh the most?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the stupidest, weirdest thing that you could come up with? And let's use that card.
Yeah.
So it's less about accuracy and more about like what is going to get people to laugh.
Yeah.
So what did we think about like filming the first one? Like what not like we did it was a fun conversation.
Mhm.
We had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
What was our like thoughts going through our head like the first recording?
I thought that for the first time it went pretty well.
Yeah.
Like none of you guys have podcast experience, right?
No.
No.
Not really, no.
I'm a cameraman for one. My dad's podcast.
We'll have to look that up later.
We'll have to look that up later.
But yeah, I never thought that I would be the one being recorded.
Sitting in the chair.
Sitting in the chair. You know?
Yeah. I did a little bit of it in high school. It was more of a like a newscast thing.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit of cameraman work. Then I did a little bit of like pressing the buttons while it's live, which is worse than being on camera. It is truly so stressful because like you have the news things that people have made and you have to like press the buttons to like call it up. And then I've been like the person in the chair in high school a couple of times, and it's not all what it's cracked up to be. So I would say this is a more relaxed version of what I did in high school.
Absolutely.
Because this is a conversation. You
Yeah.
know?
I've never had any like recording experience like news or anything, but I love talking, and I love talking about like
You can
a
tell
topic
from-
that we
Yeah, we would never know. We would never know that you love talking.
I would
But-
say you're a cat.
Too.
but it was a lot of fun doing this, and I love like the fun interactions that we have with each other. Like
Yeah.
this group is a very fun group, and I'm
Yeah.
glad to have done this with you guys
Honestly,
because I
it
wouldn't
was
have chose.
a really good group, and I think
wouldn't
it worked out really
have
well.
chose anyone
and we
else.
like forced Riley to talk, and then it worked out. He would not talk. Like for the first couple of weeks, he like barely talked.
Absolutely.
But
I
we
was
got to the
researching.
We got to the point where he talks now. So.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, like I said, I was in choir for a little bit. That this, for me, singing I can do easy. Talking, even if it's on camera and all that, I was nervous when I found out my teacher in high school put all of our music on YouTube to promote, but I was fine because we did it in the choir. It's big, and
Yeah.
you don't really see anyone.
Yeah.
You see you like for a little bit, but you're like, oh, okay, yeah.
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 But it is what it is.
Absolutely.
Honestly, I'm glad we didn't have to do this in front of like a live audience.
Yeah, I
That-
would just
that
say,
would be, that
nope,
would
I'm
be
out.
the worst.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we put on points here what we would do for next time, and there's 2 of them. So one of them is recognize when other people want to speak. For next time.
Yeah, I can see your eyes on me, and that's true. And I talked too much last time, and I'm sorry. I apologize. That's on me.
But it's a normal thing. You want to talk about it. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
And the other point is point to others to give their thoughts on the topic.
Yeah.
So I don't point because I feel like that's
No,
like
what I meant by point to others of like, hey Amanda, what do you think about this? Not like.
I'd be like,
so like I just face the direction on like who like
Yeah.
if you guys want to talk
Yeah.
I face the direction so I like
Yeah.
because like I don't want to be like your turn.
Would you like some soup?
Absolutely. So I think that this semester was actually a very
Yeah.
fun semester in this
Yeah,
class
I think it was.
overall.
I think it was really good. I think we had a good group.
Mhm.
Overall, I think it worked well. I think we had a really interesting topic.
Absolutely.
I asked my mom about it after like we filmed the first podcast, and I was like, I feel like I'm so loud and annoying. What do I do? And she was like, no, you just get overexcited about things sometimes.
See?
And it's like, okay, all
I
right,
would call you the chatterbox.
all right, okay. First Velma, now this. Yeah. What else?
Any last minute comments?
This is it. We're finishing up already.
I don't know. Do you wanna?
Well, do we have any like what? Well, we have what we would do differently, but for like other activities. I know it was something we talked about before we filmed, like other activities we could have done in this class.
Yeah. What other activities could we have done?
Because I remember after, okay, all right. I remember after debates, he was like, "We can do whatever you guys want," and then we didn't do that. We did podcasting, which went well.
It was
and we had a
fun.
good
It was very
time.
fun. Yes.
But also, like, there were some other ideas that I thought were really fun. I remember you talked about like doing a board game,
creating
like,
a board
creating
game
a board
yourself
game.
and then
I
playing
think
it.
that would have been really fun, to be honest.
Doing skits like in the classroom and seeing everyone like, for example, my church, we did plays, and one of them was a blind camel. Like someone makes a blind camel be like they're seeing eye dog. Something like that we can do. If we done something like that and make people laugh, it
Yeah.
would be easier because you're making comedic stuff, or you
Right.
can be a comedian.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not saying I didn't like the podcast because it was
Yeah.
a really fun
Yeah, it
experience.
was a very
But
fun
I just like
experience.
wish we had like more of the smaller activities. Yeah.
Options. A
Yeah,
choice,
more
basically.
options. Yeah. I don't know.
Of course, I like even if we had a choice, I would love to do another podcast.
Yeah.
I would love to do another podcast, dude. I think I would still choose a
Yeah.
podcast because it was fun.
Yeah. And like I love the part where like we're having to find the information and everyone like has a different part that they found. We kind of like get together as a group and it's like, oh, I found this thing. Have you heard? Like, because we talked about the woman that got shot in her car.
Yep.
Like, okay, that was not supposed to be. I was not supposed to say that in an exciting voice, but like that. Oh yeah, and all the stuff that happened happened with the zebras.
Absolutely.
And, like all the like new information that we found as it went on was just really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I do wish we had more options, but that's
But it worked out.
it worked
Yeah,
out fine. But I think overall it was a very fun class, and I do think that is all that we got.
Yeah. I think we got a lot of information about
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Did everyone have their time to talk? Did I talk over someone?
So that's the end of our podcast. We are Mystery History, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah.
The exponential growth from the program from my first year to my third year now, that's what keeps me coming back and keeps me excited and just like fulfills me as a person.
It's so impressive, and we every time we walk in here, you guys are doing something different. It's great. It's
nothing but opportunities here, and we have sports to cover, we have the equipment.
Because the more ambitious you are, the more opportunities you'll have.
On-the-job training is huge.
You get the hands-on experience.
When someone asks who can do it, you can raise your hand and say, I can do it. So
Joining the class was the best decision I ever made.
Stand by, we're going to go to cut one. And cut one. Cross court to Audrey Jones. Audrey for three! It is good! With 1.3 seconds left on the game clock, Audrey Jones with one of the biggest shots ever.
the sky's the limit, really, with what we can do here.